This is a View from the Bridge, official podcast of the Belfast Giants for kingdomofthegiants.com. Today's Tuesday, the 11th, the 11th of March, 2025. Nobody called on that. My name is Patrick Smith, and I'm joined by the Giants statistician, David McGimsey, and a man who scored goals for our very club, Mr. Gareth Martin. Over the next hour, we'll bring you through all the news and views of the Belfast Giants from the last week and a whole lot more besides. We are on demand live and we are on X, YouTube and Facebook. You can listen to us as well through all the really good podcast providers. It's Cup final week. The Cardiff Devils land in Belfast to face the Giants, who themselves are chasing their third Challenge Cup in the last 4 seasons. We'll be chatting to Gaz Huish of Devils TV about his team's preparations. And we'll also be joined by the commercial head of the Elite League, our good friend Mark Brooks, who talks about preparation from the league's perspective and about what's happening with broadcast rights and the likes. Jordan Kawaguchi has been a real force in driving the Belfast Giants back to winning ways, not least with his goal in Guilford at the weekend. He'll pop by for a bit of a chat and see what's going on. And of course, we'll also come to chat ourselves about that cup final that is happening and give our opinions on what we think will take place on Wednesday night. Mr. McGimsey, how are you?
Not so bad, Paddy. Nice to be back.
Gareth Martin, keeping well?
All good. Good weekend had. Thank you.
Yeah, enjoyed the commentary on Saturday, mate.
Yeah, it was good. Good to call the game.
Game not so much. Well, commentary was good.
I was going to say, yeah, we'll touch on the game, won't we? Yeah. So.
Yep.
But the arena was packed, so good buzz around the arena. It's nice when the full bowl is in.
It is, most certainly, and you will see when the chat with that I have with Mark Brooks that's coming up. We talk about attendances and how they're sort of driving, the Elite League forward, and it's great to see. And I want to look back to that later in the show. Let's talk about the 2 games that took place for the Belfast Giants in League over the last weekend. A home defeat to the Dundee Stars, the Belfast Giants' 3rd defeat in the league on the trot, 4th defeat overall, if you count the Nottingham one, but anyway. And then back to winning ways, away in Surrey against the Guilford Flames. Let's crack ahead with the first game against the Dundee Stars and hear from the coaches.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate because I thought Dundee turned up ready to play, and we did not match that. That's disappointing at this time of the season and the situation we're in. Thought that Dundee's top line won them the hockey game in the first period, and right now we're struggling to score goals. So we get one on the power play, and we get one off of slap shot from the outside and a big rebound, and one of our D-men stepping up to. Obviously, Bassi, you could really see he's pushing there. We couldn't find the back of the net after that, so that's frustrating. I didn't mind the last 40 minutes of the game. We pushed. We had plenty of opportunities. We hit 2 crossbars. We missed a couple empty nets. But, as you said, it's a result-based business, and winning is hard. We're finding that out right now, but the reality is, it's going to be a grind here. No matter, it's going to be a grind right to the very finish, and we need to dig ourselves out of this hole. And how do you do that? You got to turn up on time and play for a full 60 and compete harder than the other team. And I didn't love that. I thought at portions of that game, Dundee with 3 lines and 5D outcompeted us and won a lot more battles and foot races. That's disappointing from this group at this time. That being said, the good news is we get a chance to answer tomorrow. It's the crazy thing about hockey. Right back to work tomorrow. And we got to dig our way out of this. We have to find the back of the net, and we got to keep them out of our net. It's that simple. Too many men penalties and a puck over the glass. That's an indication of, to me, just brain's not switched on. And again, another disappointing situation in that game. So like I said, this is a good hockey team. We know we're a good hockey team. We know how to win. We got to find the back of the net, and we have to come ready to play for a full 60.
Yeah, we started off very well. I mean, obviously getting up to a 3-0 lead in this building is never easy. They're always loud in here. So we had to find a way to drown them out. And obviously they crept themselves back in the game and they started taking over and were on our heels quite a bit. But I thought defensively, for the most part, we kept them to the outside. And then when we did have breakdowns, Cheese was right there to make some great saves for us and keep us going. So it's a big result for us on the road as a first-place team in a tough building to come into. So very proud of our guys tonight.
Good to see Mark Lefebvre in a shirt and tie for a change. Goal scorers for the Dundee Stars were Spencer Nass with 2 and Kyle Pouncey with the 3rd, the game-winning goal. And it was 2 goals from Gabe Bast for the Belfast Giants. Jackson Whistle in nets. Davey, I'll start with you on this one. Giants dug themselves a hole in that first period. Adam Keefe said it himself. The first line came out there in that first period. And you look at the way that Nass played, you look at the way that Sanch, even Harms, Pouncey, those 4 players themselves, they just absolutely hammered us in that first period. And that was a hole we struggled to dig out of.
Yeah, I know that we've kind of been using the mantra a lot over the season, maybe even over the last couple of years, about starting on time and how important it is, because you give any team a lead, it changes the dynamic of the game. It changes what you've got to do to get back into it. And although saying that, statistically, I like the old stats, it's an anomalous situation. Like, we've had 115 shots towards the Dundee net in some form or other. They've blocked 37 shots and they've played desperate. They're looking to get as high up the table as they can, separate themselves from Manchester. But ultimately, the damage was done in the first. Was the damage done? Yes, we were 3-0 down and all, but we had our opportunities, I guess, to come back into this game. And we just probably, execution was maybe, Marty will talk about it more. Marty obviously commentated the game. I'm watching it just on the screen. But, to have those opportunities, we probably, straight down Royal Avenue there and gets a goal. It's a difficult one, Paddy, because it's almost, you're trying to polish something. You're not trying to take anything away from Dundee, or you're not trying to hide our own frailties in that. Adam talked about the too many men penalties, the delay of game penalties, just those little mental stress penalties, if you like, that the guys took when the chips were down. And we've probably done enough in that game to win 2 or 3 games, but didn't execute. Made their goalie, we've said this a number of times, their goalie played well, but if you give him 20 shots into the glove to get himself warmed up, then they become hot, and we let their goalie get hot again. And unfortunately for us, we just didn't get inside enough, a little bit perimeter, and with the shots, we just didn't do really enough to win the game, getting in there and getting dirty.
Marty, I know that Davey has his stats, and he was he doesn't the Elite League have theirs, and Davey does his own reassessment and whatever. But the Elite League stats have us 67 shots on that night. Over the last 3 games, the last 3 defeats, we've averaged in and around 50 shots on goal, but still not picking up the victories. Are we snake bitten in front of goal?
It's a hard one. It just certainly, obviously, I've been at the majority of the home games this year, and it just seems that we are making the away goalie really, really good. Either we're making them look really good, or they're just coming in playing more or less the best game of the season. It just seems to be that way. But when Davey analysed it there and said about, we're throwing it in the glove. If he's getting 20 shots maybe in the midriff or in the glove, the more upper he feels, more confidence he gets. And then players, then if you're maybe getting 2 or 3 shots, 4 or 5 shots, and you're always kind of finding his pads, finding his glove blocker, then you start doubting your own shot, and then you're kind of wanting someone else to take the shot for you. But we've been taking so many shots, and to only get 2, using the Dundee game as an example, only get 2 out of 67 shots. I mean, we need to be doing better. What I had seen was a lot of the shots were when they were shooting on Fisk, he was seeing a lot of the puck. I remember kind of just after Christmas, we were going a lot east to west and nice one-time shots, pulling the goal out of position, where it just seems at the minute we're not really making the goalie be pulled out of position. He's always poised and ready for more or less the majority of the shots that we take on him.
And you take it from Davy as well. The 2 goals, one of them being a power play goal, and then the second is a huge rebound off Fisk from a Scott Conway shot to the left that Gabe Bast is following in, and we get 2 for Gabe Bast on defence. The forwards in this game were struggling to find the net.
Yeah, so was that for me?
That was the Davy.
Okay.
All right, okay. Just a kind of, I get to follow up on what Murray's saying as well there, and he'll know better than us, being an elite league forward himself. The shots become more low percentage then whenever you get a wee bit. You're starting to chase a game 3-0. You throw in shots that you wouldn't necessarily throw in. You don't go in there looking for rebounds as much. A lot of the stuff came from the outside. Nothing really in front of him in terms of a screen. Nothing crossing the Royal Road, as Marty talked about there as well, going east to west. It was just get anything on net, and rather than maybe just be a little bit more patient, get that ozone setup that we're well famed for the last number of seasons. Ozone shifts, getting changes on the fly, keeping them pinned in, and just wearing them down. And I kind of think that's almost, I know we'll come on the Sunday night, but we kept doing the right things on Sunday night, and eventually it took to the 58th minute or 59th minute, but Guilford cracked. And I just think if we'd have kept doing the right things more often from early in the first period, whenever we went right behind, I think we changed up maybe what has paid dividends in the past. And yeah, maybe a little bit of individualism rather than, lines working together to get those goals, guys taking shots from the outside that they would normally look for a pass, or vice versa. Murray's talked about it there. Sometimes when you're going through that little, you haven't scored for a while, you look for a pass rather than look for a shot. And 37 blocks from Dundee, as I say, would tell me that we're not always looking the right option. And they're not all, if there's somebody in the shooting lane and you're hitting them 37 times in a game, maybe it's time to change things up. But it's not all doom and gloom. It's definitely not ideal at this stage of the season. I think that was the 4th defeat in a row, but to go on the next night, to have that opportunity to be less than 24 hours to get back on the horse is an advantage for sure.
I wouldn't say I'm not sort of obviously my line in question is on the negative side, but only because it's our 3rd league defeat on the trot when we're trying to manage towards a league title. You want to see where we're going to get. We want the team to grab it by the scruff of the neck, not to manage our way. You can easily manage games all the way to the title, but we want, especially and with all due respect to them, but Dundee are sitting in 8th. They're in a playoff hunt. They're in a playoff fight. They're trying to keep ahead of the Manchester Storm, who they beat in midweek, and then they beat again on Sunday. So they're trying to make sure that they solidify that place in the final 8. So they're playing playoff hockey. I'd like to think that we would have, 67 shots on goal, 37 shots blocked. Yes, absolutely. We are putting it on. I guess from my point of view, Marty, I would have hoped that this game was a home banker, really. That's probably arrogant, and probably, it's, no game's a banker. But when you're looking at the team who are chasing a league title, going up against the team who are in 8th position, seeing that we were 3-0 down in the first period raised quite a large eyebrow.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, also with the Glasgow game, even though Glasgow were on that winning streak and doing, they're picking up so many points in their previous, I think it was 10 or 11 games before they came into Belfast. They were sitting 7th. You would have thought, yeah, that's a game more or less you would expect the team to win. And then also with Dundee. But as you've just touched there, we're coming to playoff time. All these guys are getting the strategy right, the formula, the chemistry between the lines. Every team, they're full of professionals, and it's a battle now. Every game now is a battle. So the Dundee Stars that turned up in September, October are completely different team now than what we faced back then. But at the same time, Giants, we know that it's expected to be first, second place nearly every year. Obviously, want to be first every year. And the guys know what kind of pressure there's going to be put on them. And the boys have done well so far. Obviously, there has been this little blip. But I just think we've just been losing the game by a goal or two. So it's not as if we've been getting beat or outstripped badly. It's just we're consistently battling, and just I also believe, Paddy, that luck hasn't been on our side either, because Miss Mash got a redirect tipped from Boudreau's shot from the point, hit the crossbar, and then I think it was Boudreau again, went coast to coast, took a shot. Marin came in one timed and just straight up in the corner of the crossbar and post. Same thing, maybe just gripping on that stick too hard and trying to fire that puck through the net. This is the one I'm talking about, Marin here, just more or less right up in the top right corner there. And like if he gets that chance another 5-6 times, he's burying that. And I just sometimes feel, certainly in the last 2 home games for the Giants, just luck hasn't been there. And then just before I pass over to you again, even Kieran Long had a great opportunity in the third period. Puck fell for him. He comes in his backhand, and just before he goes to backhand it in, he had Fisk beat. The puck just bobbles. He just doesn't get a clean connection from the blade of his stick. And same thing, it just rolls off the stick and just goes wide of the post. So we can't always rely on luck, but sometimes when luck's against you and the other team gets a little bit of luck, then that's where the difference will be in the game.
100%. Right, let's batter ahead. It was Cowboy Night as well. I hope everybody enjoyed. Apart from the result, I hope Cowboy Night was enjoyed at the SSA Arena in that full bowl. A 3-2 win for the Dundee Stars, and we move on to the game in Surrey against the Guilford Flames. A 3-2 win for your Belfast Giants. Let's hear from the coaches.
I'm absolutely gutted. It was a great game of hockey, very, very good game, both teams, and just to end the way it did, obviously gut-wrenching for us. Cruel, but that's sport, unfortunately, it's margins. But, I've just said to the boys across that room there that what more could they have give tonight? It was a solid performance from everybody. I really liked our game, and it's just that one, the one face-off, and unfortunately tonight that's the game for Belfast. But very happy with how we competed in this game against a very good hockey team. But yeah, it's gonna hurt for a day or two, because we were right there. Both teams obviously posts, crossbars, 1-1 hockey game right until the last 40 odd seconds, whatever it was. But yeah, it's sad that we lose the game that way. But from my standpoint, you can't ask for any more than what each individual give us tonight. And moving forward, if we come and play like that for a whole game period of time, then it puts us in good stead moving forward. But yeah, it's going to hurt for a day or two.
Oh, it was a nail biter, that's for sure. I thought our guys were good. There was a lot of penalties in that game. I thought we had some looks on the power play. Obviously, your guys' power play is clicking right now. We knew that going into it, and then you get the one right away to tie that game up. On the first one, but I thought our penalty kill was good. I thought Tom was solid. There's a lot of frustration in our group right now. I think the last 3 losses here on the bounce have been really snake bitten. A lot of posts. Firing a lot of rubber at the other team's goalie, and it's not really working for us. And tonight was more of the same, but I really liked our guys' ability to stick with it tonight and just keep going. It was easy to get frustrated and maybe give one up and feel like, oh, here we go again. But the guys kept going and kept pushing, and that's a very big goal for us there to get that regulation win done. So I'm really happy for the guys. They really deserve that one. They've been pushing here. Finally got rewarded.
The goals in this game, Ben Lake scored the opener in 3 minutes 49. Josh Waller for the Guilford Flames equalised with a power play goal at 27:46. And then there were no more goals until the very last minute of the game, in which there were 3. Josh Roach made it 2-1 to the Belfast Giants. Jordan Kawaguchi, who will join us shortly, he made it 3-1 at 59:11. And then Brett Ferguson on what's deemed to be 59:59. It seemed like it was after the buzzer to me, but 59:59 made it 3-2 to the Belfast Giants. It was Tom McCullum in nets. Davey, I'll start with you again in this one. At times I felt this game was a grind. At times I felt that we were struggling again just to try to get a bit of fluency. But in the end, we can't say it's a results-based business in the first one and not in the second one.
No, and Adam said it as well there. We kept going. We had to keep going. The regulation wins are important in this championship as well. So it was really important to get that win within 60 minutes. It felt. I was talking to you in the WhatsApp. I was talking to the Smalls and somebody else at the same time. It's just if we can keep believing and keep just doing what we're doing, because we were coming in waves at them a wee bit better than Saturday night in terms of getting ozone shifts and then getting that set up. And if you want anybody in the face-off circle to make a big play with a minute to go in the game, you want to drop it on Scott Conway stick and he draws it back to Rochi there. He just absolutely blasts it. And then obviously we get it. As it even the next shift, the following shift, Captain Mark Cooper comes in, fires it into the pads. Lovely, one of those shots for a rebound, and Jordan's just coming down centre ice just to bang it in and get the insurance goal, which ultimately worked out as the game-winning goal with the 59-59 one going in. I'm not 100% sure that the buzzer had went, but anyway, all's well, it ends well. It was important to think to come away with 2 points after the weekend. We did a lot of good things in the last 40 minutes in Dundee. We did a lot of good things over 60 minutes, maybe got into a wee bit of penalty trouble that we would want to avoid at times over the weekend, but definitely in Guilford, they're sharp on the power play. Tom had to be excellent, and I thought he was really good between the pipes for as little hockey as he's played recently. So good to see Tom back between the pipes and doing well. I think it was a 1 goal against. I'm not going to give the second one to Guilford, even if the Elite League are.
You know what? I'm with you on that, Marty. It's one of those, like, when you're trying to break that sort of losing streak, you're trying to put everything into it. We get that, Rochi gets that second goal, Jordan Kawaguchi gets the third goal, and confidence. You want to start to build, especially coming into Wednesday.
Most definitely. I mean, it was vital that the Giants got the win, not just for their for the Elite League, being at the top of the Elite League and kind of try and hold on to that healthy points gap, which has Sheffield and Nottingham chasing, but also building confidence and making that locker room comfortable on Wednesday when you go in there getting ready for the final against the Cardiff Devils. But look, Guilford, we know what they're like. I would rate them as probably the quickest, most threatening counter-attacking hockey team in the league. And fair play to the Giants going in there, trying to control, more or less, trying to play as if they're playing at home, as in get a lot of ozone. David touched about a lot of ozone time, and just even seeing Ben Lake there, we see Ben Lake doing that a lot. We haven't really seen him do too much of that at home this season, but I've seen him doing, taking on 2 or 3 guys with a little bit of confidence. So maybe just at home with them and it just feeling the pressure, feeling it from the crowd, and but certainly when the likes of Ben Lake gets the confidence going, he's a top class hockey player, and we all know that. So yeah, for sure, that win very, very important, and I just think it makes Wednesday. Obviously, guys are going to be very nervous. All of us are nervous. Cup final, Cardiff Devils nervous too, but it just makes that belief come back into the team again that we just had a still blip, and we all know how to win hockey games, and let's go and do what we do best.
You said there, Davy, about how they've got a sharp power play unit. They did get that power play goal and tried to keep out of the box. It was sort of critical in this game, and there were sort of few nervous moments when we were taking the penalties because they are really quick at moving that puck around.
We know a few of them from last year, and Charlie Curdy, Travis Bryan coming up with a play here. Who else? Daniel Tedesco, Ryan Tate has got speed to burn, and we've talked about it many times. Speed kills, so that's hard to be a D-man. Second game in less than 24 hours, and you've got Ryan Tate skating down the wing at you in the 55th minute, and you just have to be tuned in. Like Marty has said, going into Wednesday night, these guys have done their reps this season. We talked about it last week on the podcast. They've been doing this since August. Repetition, part of the process. They'll be ready for Wednesday night. This is a good win for them going into Guilford. I think that's 3-3. I think we went in Guilford unbeaten, am I right, this year? I wasn't able to get down on Sunday night. Lily had a tournament yesterday, so which she won. I
was going to say, how'd she get on?
Is that she won? She had 4 shutouts yesterday, which was great. 3-0 in the final, 2 penalty shot saves in the final as well. So good for her.
Giving a few fist bumps, were you?
Yeah, she was wearing her Giants top, so it was nice as well. But
Yeah.
we didn't get down the game. But yeah, we've gone 3-0 in Guilford. It's not an easy building to go. You've seen Sheffield the other week lost in it. It can come on top very quick in there. Guilford can score goals in bunches. And I can't remember whether it was Cardiff. Maybe it got hurt. Maybe
It was Cardiff with high stick.
and they scored while there was a bit of a confusion over what was going on, and people are jumping back in and out of shifts, out of sequence, and it just went against us. They obviously pulled it back to 1-each, and then we just had to grind it out. And it's good to see that we have that grind in us as well. With Cardiff up next, we know we've matched up well against them this season. Nothing to fear going in. And yes, as I agree with Marty, that'll give us a little fillet that we needed after a couple of L's, putting a W in the column.
The highlights from this from Flames TV, the highlights from the previous game, of course, from Giants TV. And let's get to our first guest. We've spoken about him just there now. He scored what was the game-winning goal in the game against the Guilford Flames. Please welcome back to Views on the Bridge, Jordan Kawaguchi. How are you doing, mate?
Great. How are you guys?
Good, good. Turn your phone 90 degrees if you can.
Oh, yeah.
That should fix it. There we go. That's it. So, your take. Well, I suppose we'll just go straight for Sunday. Actually, with the goal you just scored, and you're taking how we played.
Yeah, I think just that game in total was a bit of a grind. Obviously, playing the night before and then traveling morning of, and getting in there and just knowing that Guilford's a good hockey team. Then maybe then it shows in the standings, and so I think we just went into that game and knew we had to grind it out, and took till the last minute there, but it worked out well for us. So
how difficult, obviously we were coming on the back of, some say, a 3-game league losing streak, trying to snap that streak, given where we are, everything being in our hands, but still in that streak. What was the confidence in the room like going into the game against Guilford, knowing that we needed to snap that?
Yeah, I think even Saturday night, the confidence wasn't down. I wouldn't say. I think we just kind of hit a rough patch. We knew we were playing well, and the puck just wasn't going in. You put up, I think someone said we had 98 shot attempts on Saturday night, and
yeah.
So you put up that, or you try and put pucks on net that many times, and it's just not going in. Eventually you got to think like, well, one's going to go in here before long. So I don't think the confidence was ever too low, but knowing that the goals weren't coming so easily, I think we had to just stick it out and grind through it and do our best to pick up rebounds and be around the net and get the job done, no matter what it took.
Jordan, let's take a moment away from the league. You signed for Belfast for a reason. It was to win championships. This Wednesday night gives you your first opportunity in a Giants jersey. You must be pretty excited.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Coming here, even in the summer, you hear about how fun it is to win in Belfast, and I'm really looking forward to playing in that game on Wednesday first and foremost, and hopefully get that win and experience what everyone talks about, and how much fun it is to win in Belfast. But Cardiff's a very good team, obviously, and we have to come out hard against them. They have a bunch of guys back from injury, and we'll have to be ready for them.
This is the kind of thing that, well, for me as a Belfast fan, first and foremost, this is what I put myself if I was a hockey player. This is the stuff that dreams are made of. Home fixture, 7,500 people in, 95% of them are going to be Giants fans. You get the opportunity to hang a banner and be talked about for years to come as the Belfast Giants that did, rather than the Belfast Giants that came close. This is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for us, obviously, winning is part of our job, and every year that that you don't win, it makes you want to win that much more. So, obviously there's 3 trophies in our season, but you want to win no matter what, and no matter what the trophy is. So, first one coming here, and I think we're all really excited to get it going, and the intensity is definitely going to be there and be picked up. So it's going to be awesome.
Jordan, obviously this is the first final of the year, the first trophy that's up for grabs of the year. How are you going to approach this game? Are you going to approach it the way you do for a league game, or are you going to approach this slightly differently and prepare differently?
Yeah, I don't think, when it comes to games like this, I don't think, you step outside your routine, or, obviously knowing it's a bigger game than past ones, but, you try not to treat it any differently, just to, keep yourself in that same mindset, and, be ready for puck drop. But, in the back of your head, you're always thinking, this is the big one. And, obviously you're going to be juiced and be ready to go, but at the same time, you have to know how to keep your emotions in check. And I think that's why, you got to stick to your routine, and kind of keep the mind frame pretty similar to how you would have it, for any other game. So, yeah, for me, I think I just kind of go through my routine and do that. So.
Yeah, it's going to be loud. I mean, this will be the third cup final in Belfast in 4 years. So it's certainly a special night. And your 2 line mates there, Ben Lake and Mark Cooper, they know how to win on the Challenge Cup final. So look, yeah, go and embrace it with them guys and enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. They've definitely been around for a few years, so they know what they're doing.
Hopefully kids will not be listening to that, Marty or Jordan. But I know this is the run from sort of Christmas into March is always difficult. The dog days, as a former Jordan Boucher, or last Jordan at the club, talked about the dog days. It's been hard that from Christmas to now. But I know we're talking cup final tomorrow night. Every single game here on in is a cup final. It's intense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, yeah, you said it, like dog days just after Christmas. We've kind of hit that point, and but also at the same time, we can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel, and see the work that we put in at the beginning of the year kind of come to fruition. So we know that the end is near, and we just have we have so many weeks left to get the job done. And obviously you're looking forward to getting back to your family and summertime, but we all know there's a job to do, and this is what we worked for since August. So we're excited and ready to go.
When it comes to, like, you look at obviously your focus is on Wednesday night and Cardiff, but from our point of view, we're looking down the stretch as well and seeing what there is. We've got a stretch of 5 home games on the bounce leading into that final weekend. That must be comforting to see, the fact that that we are able to play, and you're able to stay in your own bed, you're able to do your own routine without thinking there's going to be no away trips here. We can focus on our game.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, anyone you ask, I think they'll tell you they play better at home anyways. So, to have those many home games coming down the stretch, when the points are, all the points matter, but really at the end of the season, when it's do or die, really, is really nice. And besides traveling isn't, it's not my favorite thing in the world, but it's part of the job. So, yeah, being at home is always nice, and like you said, being in your own bed. So.
So last one for me is that you've come in from, you were in Idaho and playing the coast, and in Texas playing in the A. But what's the experience like been for you being a Belfast Giant within the league? Has it surprised you at all?
I don't know if surprise would be the right word. Obviously knowing Basti before the year started, and Having mutual friends with a bunch of other guys too. But Gabe was here a few years ago, and just said it's an incredible place to live, incredible place to play, and kind of gave us some examples. But for me, it's been unbelievable, and loved it so far. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't think surprise would be the right word, but it's definitely something. I would say I didn't expect it right away. Coming into the year, so it's been amazing, and yeah.
I think that's it, isn't it? You have to enjoy yourself at the end of the day. There's no point in playing, there's no point in being part of it, there's no point in driving forward if it's not enjoyable, and it looks like you're enjoying it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what you said. You got to enjoy it to do well, and to do well, you got to enjoy it too. So.
Fantastic. Well, listen, Jordan, we'll not keep you. Good luck on Wednesday night in the game against the Cardiff Devils, and good luck in the stretch, and hopefully we'll be picking up quite a bit of silverware.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, guys.
See you later.
See you guys.
Save the date.
Save the date, indeed. And more information coming out on regards to the weekend that will include Adam Keefe's testimony. We'll come to that later with regards to a charity game with regards to hospice. And we'll talk about that later in the show. What we're going to crack into now, boys, is we're going to start to preview a little bit that game on Wednesday night, that Challenge Cup final against the Cardiff Devils. In short time, we're going to hear from Devils TV, Gaz Huish. But earlier today, I got to chat to a good old friend of ours, the commercial head of the Elite League, and that's, of course, Mark Brooks. How you doing, Mark? Keeping well?
Hey, Paddy. Yeah, I'm doing well, thanks. Looking forward to Wednesday's big game. What about yourself? Thanks for having me on.
No, good to have you back on, mate. Good to have you. Yeah, obviously, big cup final. We'll talk about that in just a second, but obviously something that everybody's looking forward to, not least ourselves and the fans of the Cardiff Devils. But before we get stuck into that, mate, obviously you've been in the job for a little while now. And what's your take on the league this season? Quite competitive towards the top. Belfast Giants dropping points, but from to sort of make it a bit more competitive. But from a league perspective, has it been a success?
Yeah, I think so. I think we are just about to hit the 1 million attendance mark for the third season in a row, which is a really good marker of where the league's at. I think post-COVID, things have been really good for us. I think every team does a really good job in terms of promoting themselves, promoting their fan bases, and getting people through the doors. So we've seen a big boom since COVID, and as I said, teams are doing a great job. And I think that 1 million mark is something that we shouldn't take for granted, and possibly dispels the old comment that I hate of the best kept secret, because I don't think you get 1 million fans if it's a best kept secret. So teams doing a really good job. The league's in a good spot. I think the title race is probably not good for your stress levels, but it's probably been as competitive as it's ever been. And I think that's a good sign about where things are going. And the more we can try and get things as competitive between first to 10th, the better. But it's going to be an interesting run over the next 5 or 6 weeks.
What's your take on where that success regards to attendance has come from? Because I think, obviously, that I'm just down the road from Altrincham and the games that are taking place there. And I've seen, even you take into account of the Storm sitting in 9th where they are, they're still getting big crowds. Usually I would talk about how, success breeds attendance. But even like the game against the Belfast Giants that they won there the Friday before last was the third consecutive Belfast Giants game where I saw a very large travelling support for the Giants in there, but also a very large near capacity crowd for the home side. And that seems to be reflected more or less all the way through the Elite League. What's been driving that?
I think everyone's gotten better off the ice. I know we talk about on ice and how competitive teams are, but one of the enjoyable things about the job is like getting around to see behind the scenes and what people are doing on a day-to-day for their teams. And like if you show up at any team's office at 9 o'clock in the morning, they're knocking their pants in to try and get people through the doors. And you see that across, I think people's engagement across social media is as good as it's ever been. That's something I loved getting stuck into when I worked in Belfast, as you know, and I think everyone else has learned that everyone is competitors on the ice, but not necessarily off the ice. And I think the more that every team can learn from each other, whether that is theme nights or offers or discounts, and what might work well with one club may work well in another. So it's been good to see. I think our price point is helpful as well. I think when you look at rugby and football and some of our more traditional sports across the UK and Ireland, I think that we are a really respectable price point. We're really good value for money, and as you know yourself, it's a great opportunity to bring the family along too. So that's not necessarily a sales pitch. I just think teams are embracing it a lot more. And if you look at some of the weekends that are taking place, like with the Cowboy theme night in Belfast on Saturday, and I think fans across the league just really embrace these theme nights. And long may it continue, because it's really important too. I think more people that get exposed to our sport, they recognise how great the night is. So yes, you've got the theme nights, and yes, you've got people coming through the door. But if you look at some of our teams and their season ticket sales, which obviously moves away from people's reliance on theme and goes to how good value it is and how great the games are across the course of a season, I think teams are really knocking it out of the park when it comes to season ticket sales. And it shows that once people get exposed to the Elite League, they're really keen to stick around, and that can only be good for every team.
Yeah, I often find it quite amusing at how maligned sometimes the theme nights are, because you get some people who may be stuck in their ways, like, we don't need this, it's all about the game. But these things can coalesce, they can act together. You know, one draws in the other, and you know, the game is still the game, and what happens around it is just part and parcel of the entertainment that we bring as part of the Elite League. But outside of that, then, what do you see as the challenges coming? What sort of challenges still sit for the Elite League? I know that I want to come on to sort of broadcast things in a second, but outside of maybe that, what other challenges do you find that we have within the Elite League to try to grow it further?
I think the growth is the big thing. That's whenever I think about my role, that is the big thing, is like, what can I do, or what can I help grow our league? Whenever we think of growth, obviously, like, revenue is first and foremost, because we're not same as everyone else around the UK and Ireland. Like, everyone's costs have gone up, so you're trying to find ways of bringing in revenue. But I think the biggest thing is just, what can we do in the long term to plan for that? So how can we work with broadcast partners that help us grow the league in the long term? What potential sponsors or partners can we work with to grow? So revenue is really important, but what companies actually could be a benefit for us? How could they help us grow our league and our sport across the UK? So I think those are really important questions to figure out too. But also, what cities could we look to work with? What city councils could we look to grow our sport? So what are the top cities in the UK and Ireland that we're not currently in? I'm sure everyone can think of one or two that we're not in. How can we use the case studies of the likes of, like, you have to look at where things are at with Belfast and the celebrations around the 25th anniversary. And I would say there was a lot less of us 25 years ago that could guarantee it would still be around in 2025. So what can we take from that as a success story and use it with other cities around the UK that we're not in? Because it's a really good night out. I think every fan base embraces their team, albeit in different ways. And I think there are cities out there that are crying out for hockey. They're crying out for an Elite League team. And I think that's something that would be great for us to grow, great for us to bring in new cities into our league. This isn't me advocating for expansion for the sake of it. I just think there are obvious cities out there that would be really great for us to grow and would help us commercially. That's not going to happen overnight, but I do think it's an interesting thought and interesting conversation.
It certainly is. I think that, you know, it's interesting to know that that's still being or considered, because sometimes I think we can be set in our ways with regards to where the hockey markets are, and we looked at more traditional hockey markets of, you know, in Sheffield, Nottingham, even in the Northeast, and, you know, maybe a team back in Newcastle. But there's expansion, there's opportunity there to go to places like Liverpool, I guess, and all that sort of stuff. But it's good to hear that is, because we, as you say, we in Belfast shown that you can bring hockey to a market that is not any way ready for it, or any way prepared for it, or any way knowing about it, and you can thrive over 25 years.
Yeah, exactly. And it isn't like a elite league conversation or a hockey conversation. Like with my time at Ulster Rugby, the Pro 14 became the ERC invited South African teams. This isn't me saying we're going to bring South African ice hockey teams into the league,
Some
but I
small
think
trip
it's just
coming up there.
but I think that it brings a really interesting conversation around like who else can we work with? Who else would love to embrace our sport? Where are there arenas currently? Where are there facilities being built? Because we've got a really good sport, and I think some of the rivalries that are built across the league at the minute are fantastic. Like Sheffield Nottingham being sold out in the NIC on Saturday night. Like I think it's a great advocate for like there's not too many football. I think there's a lot of sports around the UK that would be really jealous of where we're at with some of these attendances and some of these percentage of capacities that we're filling. So yeah, who else can we talk to? What other cities are there that for us to kind of grow, not for the sake of it, but actually trying to find suitable venues, suitable cities for us to get into. In the same way, like the NHL is obviously the league that we all look to in hockey, and they've obviously expanded into a few different markets over the last few years with Vegas and Utah and I think in Seattle obviously, and then where they'll be looking for the same thing. They don't do it for the sake of it, but I think it's a good opportunity for us to grow our league and grow our sport.
Before we have a quick chat about the Challenge Cup final on Wednesday night, let's talk about what I mentioned just previously there in broadcasting. Obviously, we all talk about how we want to see our sport wider, more publicized, and one of those is through maybe a broadcasting deal, which unfortunately this season hasn't been really forthcoming with regards to where do we stand on that, Mark? What are our opportunities and how much potential is there for our sport to get that? I guess it's all about the right deal, not just any deal.
Bang on. Yeah, you've read my commercial strategy. It has to be. There are only good deals and bad deals. We want a good deal for the league, and you use the term opportunity there too. And I really do like that every team embraces the opportunity with the pay-per-view model, with live streaming their games. I think it shows a lot of initiative that teams are willing to commercialize their own streaming games. I think it provides a service for fans who either home fans who can't make it to games, which is always possible because we play the guts of 40 home games every year, but also for traveling fans who are able to tune in and watch the games live. Having worked for the Giants in Belfast, that is really much appreciated for fans who can't always travel across, and people like yourself who maybe can't get back to Belfast all the time. So that's a good starting point. In terms of broadcast deal, I think that comes back to how can we grow the league, and I think the right broadcast partnership or partnerships could be really beneficial for us. And it's something it's something I'm really keen on. I think it's something that will help us to attract really key partners over the next number of years because of the exposure that brings. I also think bringing our sport to a different audience. I think our sport is something that you have to really, I think when you tell people about hockey, it's very different from actually being able to show it to them. And I think that getting it on a broadcast platform is really important for that too. So it's something we're always looking into, but it has to be the right deal for sure. It has to be the right platform, and teams currently are doing really well from the pay-per-view model. So that's something that I think we need to embrace that, but also try and figure out how can we bring certain games, whether it's games of jeopardy, like cup finals, playoff finals, how can we bring that to a different broadcast platform, and how can we work with a partner who wants to add value to that, who wants to embrace it and also show off our sport.
Next year is an Olympic year in Milan and Cortina for the Winter Olympics, and obviously that's all comes hand in hand with international ice hockey coverage that we see as part of the wider Olympic coverage. Is there any plans to sort of use that in any way, or sort of use that exposure to push into something that we can benefit from?
I think the Winter Olympics will be an opportunity for us to find ways of relating the sport to new audiences as well. So not just with broadcast partnerships too. I think you find that we are aware that interest levels in our sport does spike outside of our league, and fans outside of our league. People outside of our league at that time too. Like it's a really great watch. It's accessible on the Beeb. So I think that's really important for us to embrace that too. And then for sure, if we can benefit from that and bring our sport to different platforms, different channels, and it's a good opportunity for us too. I think it's good for us to find ways of using it to promote our league ourselves, but also it's a good way of actually proving to other potential like broadcast partners that we've got a really good competitive league that is something we can show off and promote.
Let's stick on that theme and sort of filter our way in now to the Challenge Cup final on Wednesday, Mark. I've had tough calling you Mark. obviously, it's more or less going to be a sellout at the SSE Arena, which is fantastic, both for the game itself, commercially, or whatever, but also it now gives an opportunity for us to provide it as a broadcast to the wider hockey community. What are the plans there?
So yeah, you're right. So we're down to single seats. I think there was like 20 single seats last I checked with the box office at the SSE. So that's positive. This will be our fourth final, I believe, post COVID, where we've had the format of the higher seeded team hosting the final. So 4 sellouts in a row, which has been fantastic. Four sellouts, 3 really good finals. Hoping for another good one on Wednesday too. Wednesday's game. So we're going to broadcast it live on Elite League TV. So it's the pay-per-view platform that we set up for playoff finals last year. Whenever we streamed the games outside of the UK and Ireland, so it's a really good platform for us to have. We have a lot of people who have signed up to it already from last season. So yeah, we're gonna broadcast it on that platform. Doing it on there was just something that worked out for the sake of this cup final. So this doesn't mean that we are not going to work with a broadcast partner in future, but what it means is that, like I said before, there's only good deals and bad deals, and we just wanted a good deal for us. And the short turnaround time between the second leg, where we were kind of waiting on that to find out who was going to be the host team for the final, and this Wednesday's cup final was probably too quick of a turnaround. So we came close to a couple of broadcast deals, and we've had some positive conversations around that and potentially playoffs too. But yeah, for now, for Wednesday, we're going to be on Elite League TV. So Aaron Murphy, TV's Aaron Murphy, will be leading the coverage on Wednesday, which we're excited about, and then Neil Francis will be joining him. He obviously does the Cardiff Devils broadcast, as well as being a Devils legend in his own right. So yeah, looking forward to the coverage on Wednesday.
What sort of effort goes in from a league perspective to get this? Because obviously you said, you through that game against the Nottingham Panthers, I guess you're all sitting waiting to see where that final is going to take place. You've got your date. You know it's going to be in one of 2 places. It's going to be in Belfast or Cardiff. And I guess as soon as that final buzzer went in at the NIC, the wheels went into motion and to get it promoted and to get everything set up for the cup final.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a real anomaly where we ended up. So the planning probably kicked off a few weeks before that. So it was a strange one in that we were planning for 2 cup finals. So we were planning for the cup final in Belfast and the cup final in Cardiff, because had Nottingham gotten through, the Devils would have been the host of the final. So yeah, we had a lot of planning of different seating manifests and announcements and ticketing, 2 different ticketing systems, and ready to go to. And it's tough on the teams because they're obviously not willing to jump the gun, but from my point of view, we have to be ready to kind of go on almost immediately. You have to kind of put the wheels in motion, as you say. So it was a strange one for Cardiff because they were planning to either be the host team or the away team. They knew they were in the final regardless. But yeah, it's been nice to work with the guys at the SSE again. I obviously used to work there for a long time. It's been great to reconnect with the guys in the box office staff, a lot of the staff behind the scenes that as well, Paddy, that make things tick down there too. And really excited to work with Dave Lowry and the production team are going to produce the show for us on Wednesday night too. They have a lot of really good people that work for them as well. So yeah, it's going to be fun to see everyone again and work with everyone again. They may not say the same, but yeah, it's going to be a fun night on Wednesday. And again, I think it touches on how the demand for our league at the minute, where we sold out probably within a day or two. We'd set the parameters for. We'd work with the Giants on setting a window for season ticket holders to buy, and the demand there was phenomenal. So we only really had a handful of tickets left to go back on general sales. So yeah, it's going to be some crowd there on Wednesday night. I think this is, as I said, it'll be our 4th sellout cup final in a row. But I was there when I wasn't working for the league at the time, but the 2022 final between Belfast and Cardiff was a great atmosphere, really good game too. And yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if we end up with another tight game, overtime game on Wednesday. So we've got about 200 from Cardiff coming across, which is great on whatever that is, 10 days notice from the second leg. So yeah, it's going to be a real special occasion on Wednesday, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Weirdly after the game in the NIC, I know this will shock you, but I went to Bunkers for a quick drink before heading on, and I bumped into a Cardiff Devils fan who was on his phone booking his flight there and then, because he was obviously waiting. He was at that game, but he was obviously waiting to see who was going to win that game in order to before. And so it's good to see that there are a couple of hundred coming over on a Wednesday for that final. One last thing, obviously playoffs just around the corner as well, the big showpiece for the Elite League. How's preparations for that going?
Yeah, preparations are good. Again, we're very close to a sellout probably before the end of this month, I would imagine, for playoffs, which will be the earliest that's ever happened on weekend passes alone. So yeah, it is our showpiece occasion. There is no better sporting weekend in UK or Irish sport, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to our playoffs. I think the carnival atmosphere, the chaos, the jeopardy that plays out on that weekend, there's nothing like it. And I think that with 10 sets of fans coming to support 4 teams, there's nothing like it. So yeah, last year was great. It was my first one back in like 4 or 5 years, and yeah, it's a great weekend. I think the fans make it what it is, and I think people really look forward to it as a showpiece weekend. I think, as I always joke, I think the best weekend you can have is if your team makes it and wins it, and the second best weekend you can have is if you're just there for the experience and the 4 games. And yeah, I'm sure you and all the crew will be there as well. So I'm looking forward to it. I think the race for the top 8 is going to be really interesting. That was something that was a real highlight of our league last season. So seeing who makes it into the top 8, I think those 4 quarterfinals could be some of the most competitive games we've ever seen across that weekend. And I don't really know if you could put your bets on who specifically is going to make it this year, which maybe hasn't quite been the case in other years too. So yeah, long may it continue. And I think the title run-in is going to be interesting, but I think that playoff race, who makes it into the 8, it's going to be intriguing over the next few weeks too.
Well, we just discussed the game against the Belfast game against the Dundee Stars, and that goes to show how much that 8th place or that sort of final run-in means to the likes of those. I don't doubt that you're absolutely right there, mate. One last question, actually. Are you enjoying the job?
I love it. Yeah, I love it. It's my sport, and I love our league. I love everything about it. And I don't just say that because I'm in the role now. Like, I wouldn't have taken it if that wasn't the case. I think our league's in a really good moment, and yeah, I'm really keen to find ways to continue to grow it. And as I said to you, like, I've really enjoyed being back in the sport, getting around the country to see different people and visit different teams. And I think that's my biggest takeaway, is just how many people there are behind the scenes who are willing, at every club, who are willing to, who are doing a lot of good work and willing to do whatever it takes to get people through the door to see it too. And that's really encouraging. And yeah, I think long may it continue. And I think the more we can do that, the more people are willing to grow our sport off the ice, I think the better. So I love it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the business end of the season, and then yeah, getting ready for. I mean, everything's kind of the wheels keep on turning. We've got our fixtures meeting booked in early June for next season too, so the planning starts right away. But yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Listen, mate, really appreciate you joining us and having a chat. Good to see you. Unfortunately, I'll not see you on Wednesday night, but I'll catch up with you at playoffs.
Yeah, I'll see you at playoffs. Cheers, Paddy.
And that's it from the league's perspective. Thanks to Mark Brooks for his time, and I'm joined by an old friend, a guy who way back in the best of the time, we had a bit of he was a roving reporter briefly for the for a view from the bridge where we tried to do something. Gaz Huish, of course, from Devils TV. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, Brady. Yeah, it's been a little time since I was on here, so I was delighted when I received your text to make a triumphant return to a view from the bridge. Always nice to come and chat with you.
Yes, it's a long time ago, mate. It's good to see you. Obviously, we're going to talk Challenge Cup final. We're going to talk all about that, but let's start off by talking about the Devils season. I heard a rumor that at times this season the Devils have been playing short, but it's been word going around the fan base. But obviously, it's taken its toll. What's been your take on how the Devils have been performed, considering that?
Yeah, I've been really happy with us overall. I think, like, you'll attest to, when you've got a coach that everyone feels is building a project, what you want to see is progress. And I thought last year we had a decent season, but there was clearly a mishmash of ideas within that squad from previous signings and previous coaches. We'd had a bit of turnaround, and this year I just wanted to see a bit more of Pete's ideas, a bit more of his stamp, a bit more of his imprint, and just to see how we could build on last year. And I think right from the start, we saw that we were able to do that. And yes, we have had a few injuries, which have curtailed us. And I think they've curtailed us because we are a team that have to play hungry, and we're a team that play very much on the forecheck and hunting teams down. And when we're forced to play a bit more passive and a bit more sort of strolling around and a bit more structured, we don't have that same jump. We can't find that same energy. But overall, I've loved this team. I think we've had some great moments. It's a winning team. And overall, I think what we have from this year is a lovely foundation, again, to kind of build on now for the next few weeks and look into next year.
It has been I fully agree. I think that Pete Russell over the last number is a good coach and is able to has the backing to start to put these foundation blocks in place. His style of play suits this elite league, and we always say, mate, that having knowledge of this league and having experience in this league, because obviously you've had guys who've been players who have become coaches and done success. I'll talk about, of course, not like Andrew Lord, but you also you've also done that where you've brought in coaches like Scaldi who didn't have real experience in this league and maybe struggled a bit. Having that experience the way that Pete Russell does is invaluable.
Yeah, it is. It is, because you need someone, don't you, that's going to instill in people in October just how big games in October are. And sometimes around other leagues in the world, games in October are, finding your feet and finding ways, to gel in. You don't really have time to gel in when you want to make a title challenge. You need to make that title challenge from day dot. So yeah, it's huge. It's huge. And that starts from the summer when you're recruiting as well. You need someone to lay out that sort of roadmap of success, and these are our aims, and this is how we need to do it. And then it builds into the returners that you have year on year and year. You build that mentality in your locker room.
From the team that he's put together, and from what you've seen, obviously the injuries, etc., have curtailed a lot of players. But have there been any real surprise packages in the lineup? Anybody you think actually you've got a lot more than you expected?
For me, I think it's Koen Olszewski. I think when I was looking at the roster in the summer, I sort of had him down as maybe a third line winger, probably in how we were shaping up. But very, very quickly, he had that sort of Stephen Dixon vibe about him, where you've got a top line center there who can skate well, can pick up goals, can feed assists, can really be a catalyst on a line. I love a player that's a catalyst on a line, and who, wherever line you put him on, wingers seem to get a little bit of extra jump because they know that he's going full pelt, 100 miles an hour. And he's been a real calming influence. He's been a real kind of solidifier for us across the year. Wherever he put him, whatever situation we put him in, he's really delivered. His face-offs have been fantastic as well. And so I think we got a lot of high-end CVs in the summer. And although he did play DL, so it's not like he was coming in as any kind of jump, but he went from a role player to a leader, and I love to see that from players who come in who maybe just take it by the scruff of the neck and say, no, actually, I'm going to lead us through this, and I'm going to do that little bit extra.
How do you feel the Mac and Ben goaltending tandem has gone this season?
Yes, it's been. I didn't have any worries about that in the summer. With Ben Bounds, you know exactly what you're going to get. You don't win that amount of trophies that he's won unless you're quality. And I think it's good for Ben, and I think Ben would probably agree with this, that it's good for him to be challenged. I think we've seen that in Great Britain with Jackson Whistle over the last couple of years, where I think you're going into tournaments and no one would be surprised who would get the start out of the two of them. And I think Ben's got better because of that. And I think Jackson's probably got better from that as well. With Mac, he a little bit stop-start in the beginning. He had two big injuries. He had one big injury preseason and one big injury in the Continental Cup first round. But these last sort of 4 to 6 weeks, we've started to see Mac come up big again. And much like he did in his first season, he peaked at the playoffs. Yeah. And that's what I'm hoping we see again. He played both games this weekend, which I found interesting. I don't know if Benny's still carrying a little bit of a knock. So I'm expecting Mac to be in on Wednesday based on the fact that he's played both this weekend. And I've got no qualms with Matt Carruth in a big game. I think he's shown that he revels in that sort of stuff.
We'll talk about big games. Obviously, Wednesday is the cup final in Belfast, and probably two teams that are coming in with very different sort of levels of momentum. The Belfast Giants finally getting a win after breaking a bit of a losing streak with the win over the Guilford Flames on Sunday. Whereas you guys in Cardiff, you've been just ticking along nicely. A couple of overtime winners from Cole Sanford and coming in with probably a bit of confidence.
Yeah, I really like that we've started to bring guys back the last couple of weeks. And I think what I've seen is I've seen the room kind of respond in a really positive way. And there's a few more smiles on the faces now when guys are coming onto the ice and off of shifts and on the bench together. And this weekend was really pivotal for us. And I really like that we had such tough tests. Nottingham and Coventry, two very good teams. Away to Coventry, people have struggled there, and we've had some real ding-dongs with the Panthers this year. And we came through both tests, so ecstatic with that. And yeah, I feel like going into Wednesday now, we're on a good platform. We're on a good platform to go in, and we've got a good kind of buzz about us that maybe we didn't have 3 weeks ago.
How much do you think that 6-0 drubbing the last time that they were on SSE Arena ice will sit in the minds going into this game?
I hope it sits more in the minds of the Giants and the Devils in some ways. I know that might sound weird, but I know you know Keith gets his team set up and to go full pelt anyway. But I kind of hope that if the first period, I'm hoping and expecting us to give a much better account of ourselves in that first period than we did in that 6-0 game. And I hope maybe if things don't go as smoothly for the Giants as they did there, there's maybe just a little element of doubt, no matter how little it is. I just hope that kind of changes the kind of feel and the flow of the game. I would be distraught if we ended up, losing a cup final 6-0, even if it is in your arena. But I'm certain that there's going to be a big element of pride in our performance based on that last outing.
I don't see this being anything other than a tight game, mate. Who do you think is key? I was like looking through in the last couple of games where I've been watching games against us as well. I've been watching your team, and McWilliams obviously stands out on D, but the evergreen Evan Mosey just seems to keep ticking and ticking, and he seems this season to be as good as he's ever been.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think he loves playing for Pete. I think he loves playing in that system. I think he feels really valued by Pete within that system as well. And I think sometimes you get guys who, the older they get, they revel in taking on that mantle of being the experienced guy and the guy that has to stand up a couple of times and take responsibility for things. I think that's a big word. I think Evan Mosey takes responsibility in games to change the tempo or change the way we're playing. And we know what a character he is off the ice, but I think he's had a real sort of game face on this year, a real sort of business feeling to him, and he wants to play for a lot more years yet. He's got a plan to play a lot more years. So he's certainly making a case for himself to keep himself on the Devils roster for those seasons. And
also this year going to be taking part in the All-Star charity game in Cardiff, which is brilliant from him.
He's finally made it.
He's finally made it. He gets to play alongside David Grant. What a it's going to be amazing. One last, where do you think this game's going to be won and lost, mate?
Special teams. I know that's a cliche. I know but that's it. I think, if either team, that, and I think your board battles. I've been really sort of disappointed with the way that we've lost a lot of board battles against you guys in the last couple of games that we've had, whether it be in the Vindico or the SSC. I don't feel we've come away from the puck in corners enough. I don't think we've, really pushed that aspect of it. I think we've tried to react to you guys sort of pushing that physicality a little bit and get into those 50-50 pucks first. That has to change. We can't, because once you win those battles, you start dictating the tempo of the game, and you just gain more chances and you snuff out more offense. So special teams and 50-50 and board battles have to be won. They have to be better, and we have to be hungry for that puck. If we're hungry for that puck, then there's no reason that we can't get the goals to win the game.
It's been an interesting season for the Cardiff Devils, mate. Not least, having to deal with the adversity they had, but reaching a cup final, and no doubt in the next couple of weeks, the Cardiff Devils will have a big say in where the Elite League Championship goes.
Yeah, absolutely. I said to someone the other week, after the Continental Cup final and the fact that we've got to this final and we're going to make a push to the playoffs, if we win on Wednesday, it'll make a good season great. And that's not to say that I'm sort of getting an excuse early that I'm not going to be disappointed if we don't win on Wednesday, but that's how I feel. I feel like we've had a good season and it will be a great season if we win a second trophy. And I think if we do win the second trophy, I think we go on to win the playoffs as well. I'd be bold enough to kind of say that. I think we'll get that. I think we'll take a lot from that, but it's a tough one. You're at the top of the table for a reason. But what a final! What a showcase it'll be for Elite League hockey. And when we come out of it, I'm sure we'll say it'll be a cracker and it'll be one for the ages.
I hope so, mate. 7 p.m. on Wednesday, the Challenge Cup final between the Belfast Giants and the Cardiff Devils. From the SSE Arena in Belfast, it's more or less a sellout. There's a couple of hundred people coming over from Cardiff from it as well. And if you're not going to it, you can get it, as we heard there from Mark Brooks on Elite League TV, where the coverage will be coming from Aaron Murphy and the thoroughly neutral friend of the show, Neil Francis. Yeah. Couldn't get sheds. No, mate. Good to see you, and no doubt I'll catch up with you again soon.
Thanks for having me, Barry. See you on Wednesday.
That ended quick. Big thanks to. I hit the wrong button. The big thanks to Mark Brooks and the Gaz Huish for their time. Lots of really good stuff in there. Going back just to a quick word about some of the stuff that Brooksy was saying, and some of the really interesting tidbits there with regards to what he's doing and where they're looking. And one of them being expansion of the Elite League into cities that currently don't have it. And trying to find that different market. Now, one thing we didn't touch on, and I didn't really want to touch on it because it wasn't really the time to do it, was like, obviously Fife have their troubles. We don't know what's going to happen there and whether we're going to, but the idea that the Elite League, Davy, could expand in the markets, Bristol, maybe Liverpool, some cities that might be able to take on Elite League franchise. Is the Belfast Giants, are the Belfast Giants, get your grammar right, Patrick, are the Belfast Giants a blueprint for that success of bringing it in and I say this with all due respect, likes of Marty and Says and the guys who were, the hockey was in Belfast long before the Belfast Giants, but from like the Elite League perspective, bringing it into a market, are the Belfast Giants a blueprint of how to make a success of that?
I don't know. I think that we're because of our fairly unique project, the Millennium Project of building the rink and making it very accessible, I guess, for women as well to go to the sport and families to go to the sport. And I know we'll hark back to it. It's not something I like talking about very much anymore, but bringing communities together as well. We had something, I don't know, I got a wee bit teary about it on our 500th edition, but we had something that made us proud to be from Belfast. And yeah, if that can be a blueprint for, you're fighting, if you go and put a rink in Liverpool, and I'm not a massive fan of teams are going to come in. I want them to be Cardiff and bigger. You need 3,000-4,000 seat arenas. These Planet Ices with 1,200 in it. It's not improving the product as such. To bring in a rink team with 1,200 fans, it's not going to give them. They're not going to be challenging the top of the league. So if you went to a city like Liverpool, then you're competing with a lot of top level football. Leeds, maybe. I'm trying to think of EIHL ones that can come up. The likes of Anthony would be a much better guy to talk about this. Who's got the ability to maybe make that step. The Milton Keynes want to come back in. This kind of thing. So in expansion, are they going to look immediately Leani and teams taking a step up? Or expansion, are they going to look at a city building a brand new rink, brand new arena, a Liverpool that doesn't have a hockey heritage and stuff, getting back in.
But it has an arena that could get an ice plant.
Back into the northeast, get back into the northeast again. A hockey hotbed. I can't understand where there's no hockey really in the northeast, like a high level hockey in the northeast. So you've got that market. you've obviously got Nottingham, Sheffield, and Coventry in that kind of Midlands area, but is there room for a Birmingham team? London, obviously, Guilford on the outskirts, but there's got to be a market for London. Ultimately, as Belfast fans, you're going to want a Liverpool short flight. You're going to want a London. You're going to want something that's near an airport, for logistics. But I'd love to see a bit of expansion. Dublin franchise, brilliant. I'd be all over that.
I think, yeah. Do you know what, the Northeast? My love of that area and having lived up there and being around really good hockey people, and to see it to go back in there. Congratulations to Billingham, by the way, and back-to-back Morley leagues. But you see that there is still, Marty. There are areas within the UK that are hockey hotbeds. Like you could go as far north as Aberdeen.
Oh yeah, and Elgin.
Elgin
was the furthest I played. But definitely going to the northeast. Yeah, I've played in Whitley Bay. Obviously, I played in against Newcastle when it was the Vipers, and yeah, it's really sad that that they obviously no longer exist. So obviously that would be awesome if they get in the northeast. But it's funny, Davy. I was going to say Dublin as well. Like that has been rumored around for a couple of years. I don't know how true it could be, but
it's obviously a UK league, so we're just waiting for them to come back into the UK. And
that's going to be a long wait, mate. It's going to be a long wait. You're going to have there. It's a long.
You never know.
And that's all from the View for the Bridge tonight, lads. Just cut these two out there. You put me off. What I was going to say. Oh yeah, the other thing you brought up there, the broadcast deal, and obviously we wanted maybe something a bit more wider ranging for the Challenge Cup, and that deal couldn't get done. It is being done from point of view of the Elite League, putting out their own pay-per-view. But Marty, you've been involved with Giants TV for the last few while as well, trying to find that broadcast partner. I think Brooksy's absolutely right. It's not about any deal; it's about the right deal.
Yeah, I think we were all kind of hoping maybe BBC could have slipped in there, or obviously Premier Sports. There's maybe rumors of them coming and getting the game, but yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it, for Mark? I did listen to that interview there, and as much as he would have liked it to say BBC Sport, and I imagine that had been put out in the red button. That would have been awesome, because you have friends who say, ask me questions about ice hockey, and then I would always say, sure, come along, or I'm talking about work colleagues, things like that. I'm not willing to pay X amount, but imagine that was at their exposure on a Wednesday night when they're just chilling out, more or less doing nothing. That's what we kind of need, and it's a pity that it just didn't work out for Mark for that to actually happen.
I think, and obviously they've had to switch to the pay-per-view. It's going to be £18, which, is what it is, I guess, regards to what people are paying for their own home webcast, Davey. But, looking forward to, you mentioned the playoffs there, the possibilities there, trying to get this onto a free-to-air, maybe a more established broadcaster. We know that would be a step forward. I put a tweet out there on Friday night. I was sitting, the missus had gone out, and I was sitting watching the final day of the DEL season on what they have, and it's like, one of these where they go from game to game, and wherever the action is, but plus you got individual games, that sort of wide range and exposure. That's a pipe dream for us now. That's so far down the line. What we need now is a broadcast deal that's right for the Elite League, but also increases the exposure and makes it easier for people to access the sport that we enjoy.
Yeah, and I guess that's why you've got people like Brooksy at the top of the commercial side of it to try and get those deals done. And he said it was over a million people through gates this season. Belfast Giants is a big percentage that through the doors, and it feels massive when you're inside it. When you're as close as we're fortunate to be, it feels like the crowds are huge, and it feels like it. But it also then feels that when it comes to a cup final and it's pay-per-view on their own channel, that the message maybe isn't getting out there as well as it could. You'd want to see it ideally, not cup finals definitely not on the BBC. We don't want that, just for
You know what?
superstition reasons. Only for
That- that's-
superstition,
That was Super League. That was
we
Super League.
remember. We remember
It's a
Black-
different myth, different.
We remember
Super League.
Black Sunday, long time ago, and but it lives long. But yeah, ideally, just to echo what Marty's saying there, there's so many people that ask me about hockey all the time. See me try to, as much as I can, wear the Giants gear around. Get people ask me, oh, what's the logo? And you talk about, oh, where do you get to watch that? And we've got our own, pay-per-view channel and stuff. Well, that's really good. But then they go, well, that's how much it costs now. But whereas Marty's saying there, you can hit the red button and it comes into your house free a few times. That's what so many people that I know that go to the Giants, got into the Giants on the back of getting a wee comp ticket, went along, bitten by the bug, season tickets 20 years later, and there's something about trying to hook people in, and you're not going to hook that many people in. You're going to get regular hockey fans tomorrow night. You're going to get a lot of Cardiff Devils fans. It'll be sold around the league to a small extent, I would imagine, but if that was on free, you would have probably quite a decent sized audience. So, but as Brooksy says, it's commercial as well. They've got to make money where they can. So I understand the position they're in.
It's not even just like the idea of hitting the red button and that coming on. You look at when we were in the CHL and those games were on Free Sports, right? And the games away from home were in Free Sports. I went to our local pub on that like Friday afternoon. I just went up and said, "Excuse me, do you put on?" Like the only people who know anything about ice hockey in that place are me, Nick Crawley, JC, who Marty will know very well, and Son, and then maybe sometimes even Mark Thomas has been in there. Yeah. But it's like, and that's it. But we stuck this. Went in, got them to stick this Belfast Giants CHL game on, and by the time we get to the third period, I'm not the only person watching it. There's quite a bit of the pub engaged because they hear me screaming at the TV and they want to know what's going on. But but you find it like a lot of people there are like who were just in the pub on a Thursday afternoon are all of a sudden watching the game because it's on the screen in the pub. I say, is that Belfast? And but if it was Manchester, against Sheffield, and it was on a screen in the pub, you get people just picking it up, and next thing you know, say we should maybe go to that. That's the sort of idea that those larger broadcasters and what the more established broadcasters would bring, because you'd have access to it more publicly. And I think that's, hopefully somewhere down the line, we're able to get that. Let's bring this back, gents, and start talking about the Challenge Cup final, though. Obviously, Wednesday night, Belfast Giants, and this is the other side of it. The Belfast Giants have played Cardiff Devils all season and won every single game. The idea that this Challenge Cup final could be at home against a team that we've beaten every game so far and be on the BBC was a bit too Black Sunday for me to deal with. So I'm sort of a bit of that said. But Marty, you look at, I talked to Gaz Huish there about momentum. 2 overtime wins, Cole Sanford getting the 2 of them, bit of a rich view of form, getting a bit more healthy. This could be a very different Cardiff Devils side that we've seen in the last 5 games we played them.
Yeah, since the double header weekend in Belfast, they have played 6 and only lost 1 game to Glasgow Clan. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they've found form, momentum. They've got Pete Russell's obviously got them believing in the way he wants them to play. And as you said there, Cole Sanford, he's been the sniper there on the OT. So they're willing to grind it out right to the end, especially in the last 2 games there. Yeah, you can't really, when it comes to cup finals, you can't really look at form, can you? Everything, there's a different element, when you come away from your league campaign and you go into the cup final, everything's different. That's why I asked, Jordan, how is he going to prepare for the final? Because as much as he probably does want to have just his regular, eat whatever way, do whatever he does, stretch whatever way before the game, there's going to be media in there. There's going to be different people wanting to speak to him. It's going to be a little bit upset. It's going to feel different for him. So the nerves are going to be the highest all season. And you said, Gaz even said, I think this game is going to be a real tight game. I think it's going to go the whole way to the wire. And I can't wait.
Davy, how much does this game rely on which Belfast Giants side we've seen over the last, say, month and a half? Which side turns up?
I think that counts as much for us as it does for the Devils. If both teams turn up and play their A game, we're in for a heck of a spectacle. You know, go through all the cliches, Paddy. You know, I love this part of the show.
Foot in the throat. But no, okay. So then,
but in terms of starting on time and all, we've got to. This will be a tight game. I don't expect a blowout either direction. You know, very, very close the last time we played in the final. Cardiff were down a couple of players in that final, and they still managed to find a way to take us all the way. And I expect tomorrow to be no different. We've matched up really, really well against the Devils this season. Physically, we have brought our A game when it's came to it, which has surprised me because in other games, and you had the coach at the very top of the show there saying, you know, disappointed maybe to be out-battled on a few occasions by Dundee. That hasn't happened in the Cardiff games. Like, we have gone to war with this team and came out on top. We need good goaltending, we need good defence, and we need discipline more than anything. We've got to stay out of the penalty box, and there's nothing to say that this can't be a successful night.
So what does it count that we have? I'll start with you, Davy, and I'll follow on the same question to you, Marty. The amount of experience from players who have won championships before can bring into games like this. We've got, I think that's in both locker rooms. We both have elements of players who have lifted championships before, probably more so in ours than theirs currently. But being able to go into games, and Marty, you'll be able to give this from a player's point of view of, you know, that sort of experience of people who know how to win. But from a Davy, your point of view, you having these players, the JJs, the Cons, the David Goodwins, guys who know what it's like to win a championship in Belfast, what do they bring to the room?
They bring on that game night especially, they'll bring an element of calmness and an element of professionalism. Goody will be talking to them about the penalties and what penalties not to take. Mark Cooper will be being calm with his instructions, and they'll know more than anything that, for the sake of argument, to go goal behind, that there's no panic, that they'll get themselves into the dressing room, they'll regroup, they'll talk about it, they'll make changes where they need to change. You've got a coach who loves a timeout to change momentum. You've got guys in there that are momentum changers anyway on the ice, but just in that dressing room, there'll be a calmness. They'll obviously be excited because this is massive. This is what you come. You come to hang banners and make memories. You say it every year. That's why these guys are selected as Belfast Giants. That's why this city's picked them to come here and be successful. And, you know, that'll be drilled into them by Adam. You know, you've got a chance to go out there. The old Alex Ferguson one from the 99 European Cup final when you're getting beat by Bayern Munich. You have to walk past that trophy and not be able to touch it. They'll talk about the 99 team as a what could have been, instead to talk about them as the treble winners and probably the greatest team ever assembled in Premier League history. You know, so that's the kind of thing Man United, Belfast Giants will want that. You know, you want to put your name down in history. You want to win trophies. You want to lift banner. You want to. Aaron Murphy said at the end of the broadcast or at some point, you win together, walk together, win together and you walk together for the rest of your lives. And that's what you want to do. And these guys will just bring the goodies, the Cons, the Coops, all these guys, the Ben Lakes that have been there, done it, the Kieran Longs, the George Awadas are important, the Jeff Masons, the Rob Stewarts, the Adam Keefes are hugely important, Jason Ellery's. These people are just key just to keeping a lid on everything and just, it's going to be all right.
Marty?
What Davey says. He nailed it. No, he did. he touched everywhere. All places. Brilliant. No, the belief, like when we go back to that cup final 2 years ago against the Devils, we were 2-0 down, and you could just tell there was no panic. More or less reiterating what David said there, but there was no panic within the leaders. They just kept on believing that they could go back, square it up, and then go on to win the game. So I think that is key. David also said there about from the coaching staff right down through the players. There's so many leaders in that team. There's so many guys in that team know how to win, and they just need to put it into practice here on Wednesday night.
Absolutely. 7 p.m. on Wednesday night, the 2025 EIHL Challenge Cup final between the Belfast Giants and the Cardiff Devils, live from the SSE Arena. If you've not got a ticket, keep trying. I think we're down to single seats. but you'll also be get it on EIHL TV. You can get that through the Elite League website. You'll be joining Aaron Murphy and friend of the show Neil Francis for that. And then when that's done, there are 2 other games. We are away to the Five Flyers on Saturday at 7:15 p.m. and away to the Glasgow Clan on Sunday at 5 p.m. over in Braehead. Those games are what they are. You'll get them on Flyers TV and you'll get them on Clan TV if you're not making a trip. I'm sure a lot of people will be making that's a nice little Scottish doubleheader, but those games will come to once we've dealt with the Cup final. Any other business, gents? And I'll start. The Aussie Trust has announced hospice hockey or hosp ice hockey. If you look at the special charity ice hockey game that hopes to raise 100,000 for the Northern Ireland Hospice. They're looking to bring together current and former ice hockey players, local legends, and celebrities for an unforgettable evening of sport and entertainment. Tickets go on sale Wednesday afternoon, 12 p.m. via Ticketmaster, and the roster announcements are going to come thick and fast on that. Davey, have you had the call?
I had a call, and it was the most disappointing call probably I've had in my life. I had a call. I think it's talked about it in the podcast last week, or maybe just off air with you. I had a call, and it was like, we're doing like this hockey, like, sort of, sports, the one that do the football, what do they call it?
Soccer,
like an ice hockey, and I was like getting really excited. No way they're going to ask me. They're going to blah blah blah. I went, could you write some stuff for like a program? Yeah, okay.
You thought you were like reaching for the skates, looking for the pads.
Oh, mate, I was like, Sheds, can I borrow some wheels here, mate? Like, but
you can skate there. You used to play inline, didn't you? So you'd be good.
Use the force to stop, but apart from that, we're all good.
Let's not give up on it, mate. You never know.
Says taught Terrence Sand with the skate. He can teach me to skate.
Skate backwards. Taught him to skate backwards. But Marty, it's a great thing for the Giants to put together. It's on the week. It's on the same weekend as the Adam Keefe testimonial. But again, a great event for that. We know that the Giants are really good at doing these sort of events, and we saw what happened with regards to the Ukrainian team and the work that we did there. This is a phenomenal thing to support, and no doubt it's going to be a great night.
Yeah. I haven't really read what you read there. That's the most I've kind of heard of it as such. I just had a quick glimpse before we came on live. But if it's going to be something similar what they did for the Ukraine charity that time, that was an amazing night. And certainly, for the hospice, it's a local element as well. It's going to be another great night. And did you say it's just before Adam Keefe's testimonial as well?
It's the same weekend as the testimonial.
Okay, so a big weekend in June. We've never had that before as well, so
it'd be fun.
Something to look forward to for that.
It'd be fun. We might see the number 12 and the number 16 go against each other. What do you think, Davey?
I think you've probably more chance of seeing the number 12
rather than the 16.
I don't know. He says the old knees and shoulders are giving him a lot of jip, and he's had his trouble with the eyes this year. But it would be brilliant to see both of them on the ice. I know says we'd absolutely love to be out there again, but just health and will be dependent on that. So wish him well and just fight for fitness.
You'll be looking at that call, Marty. You want to get involved?
Oh, I'd love to. I really love to. Yeah, I was in Steve Thornton's ear for that Ukraine game, so hopefully don't need to this time.
Brilliant. But yeah, the tickets are on sale for that on Wednesday, 12 p.m. and that game will be taking place the same weekend as a testimonial in June. Any other business from you, gents? No? Are we all done? That's right. In which case, we said there's 2 away games on Saturday and Sunday against the Flyers and the Clan, but the big game is, of course, on Wednesday night. The Belfast Giants are looking to pick up their 3rd Challenge Cup in the last 4 outings of the trophy. They're looking to take back what was taken from them last season by the Sheffield Steelers and put that first piece of silverware of what could be another great season on the mantelpiece. We have players with experience out there. We have players with the will to win. We have players who are looking for that first championship and know what this could be for them. We have an arena that will be more or less full of Belfast Giants fans, and that's exactly what we want. We want it to be difficult. We want it to be tough. We want it to be red hot in there for the Cardiff Devils to make sure the Giants pick up that trophy. It's only days away, and I'm looking forward to it. Gentlemen, good to see you. Enjoy the game. You can get us at AVFTB on Twitter. You can get us Facebook. You can get us on all the other sort of social media. Thanks to everybody for joining us. And thanks to Jordan Kawaguchi, Mark Brooks, and Gaz Huish for being part of the show. And wherever you are this weekend, we hope you enjoy your hockey. We'll catch you here next time on A View from the Bridge.